Hey, boys and girls, I'm going to go ahead and show you where you can find your 5.4 social studies assignment for Growth of Suburbia, and we're going to go over how you complete that assignment. You're going to start by going to your social studies course, and we are under the HCS Supplemental Resources, the Module 5 folder, and we are looking at 5.4, the Growth of Suburbia. So I'm going to click on that lesson. All right. So as you've seen before, your assignment is at the very bottom, or the assessment. So I'm going to open that up, and then as we go through the lesson, we can kind of refer back to the assessment. So this assessment is 2 pages long, but there's 3 parts. And part 1 is actually just like a mini project. So we're going to go over that now. So let's go back to the lesson. It says, following World War II, the United States saw economic and social changes. As you continue your investigation of this period, find out about the creation of suburbia or suburbanization. So part 1, you're going to, step 1, read the article, The Growth of Suburbia. You can click on this and listen to the article as well. Step 2, you're going to watch the video, 1950s Home Life, Suburban Sprawl. And then step 3, you're going to complete part 1 of your assessment sheet, which is attached below, and we've already opened that up. So let's look at the part 1 on your assessment. So part 1 is just this top part in yellow. It says pick one of the following activities to complete and add it to the submission area. Please circle the choice that you will be completing. So you have 2 choices, and you only have to choose one. Choice 1, you can create a paper, pencil, or digital brochure that describes suburban life in the 1950s. Or choice 2, you can write a diary entry as a person in the 1950s getting ready to move to a newly constructed suburban neighborhood after living in a crowded city for years. When completed, you're going to attach your finished product to the submission area on Buzz. So whether you're doing choice 1 or choice 2, you're going to just attach it after you're done. You're going to attach it to this area right here by just clicking on that blue plus button. Or if you are doing the diary entry, feel free just to type it right here in the submission area. Okay. All right. So let's go back up top. That's part 1. Okay. Part 2. Let's continue to learn about the changes that took place in the United States following World War II. So step 1 of part 2, you're going to read the article, Good Times at Home, and you can listen to it here. And then you're going to add to the chart in part 2 of your assessment sheet. So in part 2, you're going to have a chart. And as you're reading the article, you're going to add to the chart. So let's take a look at the chart here. So part 2, changes after World War II T-chart. So this goes along with part 2. So with part 2, you've got this chart, and on the top of the chart, you've got your economic changes or benefits, and then you have your social changes or benefits. And then I put here just some guiding questions that you can ask yourself while you're completing this chart. Here's some guiding questions just to think about as you're answering or as you're filling in this chart. So for economic changes and benefits, how did the economy change? How did the way people made money change? How did the economy benefit the people? How did the economy benefit our country? Make sure you provide details from the articles and the videos. And then for your social changes and benefits, some guiding questions to ask yourself as you're filling out the chart are, how did people's lives change? Did their lives become better or get worse? Provide details from the text and the videos. So if you go back to the lesson, part 2, step 1 and 2, you're looking at this article, Good Times at Home. If you look at the chart on the left side here, your first 2 empty boxes go with that article, Good Times at Home article. So as you're reading that article, you're going to jot notes here that focus on the economic changes and the social changes. Okay? Then if you go to the next part of this chart, you've got changes after World War II article. So let's go look at steps 3 and 4. And right here, boys and girls, these are already on your chart. Those are just those questions that I have at the top of your chart to help guide your thinking. So step 3, you're going to read the article Changes After World War II. You can listen to it as well. And you're going to add to the chart in part 2. So that's what I was just showing you. Changes after World War II. So as you're reading that article, you're going to put your economic benefits and changes here and the social benefits and changes here. And then this last part of part 2, you're going to read the article. You're going to watch the video, History of the GI Bill, and then you're going to add to that same chart. History of the GI Bill video. What are the economic benefits and changes? What are the social benefits and changes? So as you're looking at these articles and reading these articles and watching this last video, you're filling out this chart for the economic changes and benefits and the social changes and benefits using these guiding questions. All right, so that's part 2. Part 3, you're going to upload your work. Now remember, to submit both pages of the assessment sheet, you want to submit both of these pages because both pages have part of that chart. And you're also going to want to submit your activity from part 1. So for part 1, if you chose to do a paper and pencil or digital brochure, or if you decided to write out your diary entry or type it on a Google Doc, you want to make sure that you submit part 1 as well as these 2 worksheets for part 2. Okay, so that's on here. And you'll just submit it by clicking on that blue plus button and attaching your work.